Picture, for a moment, a Tokyo, Japan very different from our own. The crime rate of this city is through the roof. In this Tokyo, you might consider yourself lucky if the most you have to deal with is an ordinary case of armed robbery with a stiletto. Gang violence is everywhere. Not only do you have the usual suspects like the Yakuza, you have more eccentric cases. The ever-elusive akebono with a lack of colors and signs. Your own mother could be a member of this gang and you'd be none the wiser. Though they rarely show overt gestures of aggression, when they do, they are perhaps the most fearsome of all. Then there are the Peach Boys, a group of young men ranging from their late teens to mid-20s. To many, they're nothing more than glorified greasers, a bunch of uneducated youths with too much time on their hands. But you would be a fool to underestimate them. They terrorize the streets with their aggressive tactics. No one, civilian or gang member, is truly safe while they're around. And who could forget the fatherless children? Technically not a gang, but a new wave religious movement. In other words, a cult. They might not mug you, they might not kidnap you and hold you for ransom, but if you do something that they deem as heretical, you'll see firsthand how much they have in common with all the other gangs. The city is a war zone, built from the literal ashes of the Second World War. With a climate like this, it should be no surprise that the Metropolitan Police Department has its hands full. During the Allied occupation, there was some effort made by the troops to keep the peace, but as soon as they were gone, it was open season. There simply weren't enough police to go around. Shortly before the end of the occupation, citizens started taking things into their own hand. Vigilante gangs took to the streets to exact a bit of justice of their own. Unfortunately for them, they were indistinguishable from any other gang, and they were quickly dealt with by the police. Vigilantes started dressing in elaborate costumes and using unique gimmicks to stand out more from the true criminals, which helped to some extent. But in the eyes of the law, they were still criminals, and many were arrested. These arrests were not popular with the general public. These vigilantes seemed to be making a difference in the way that the regular police could not. The situation reached its boiling point when famed vigilante White Diver was arrested after she saved several victims from drowning in Tokyo Bay. The riot lasted a full week, and it was only quelled when the Metropolitan Police Department released her and several other arrested vigilantes. The public had spoken, and something had to be done. Clearly, the vigilantes were a necessity, not only because of the help that they provided, but because of their overall impact on the city's morale. However, certain members of the police department took issue with amateur crime fighters taking to the streets. They would not only cause harm to themselves, but they would worsen incidents by preventing police from effectively doing their jobs. Or so they believed. Thus, the Vigilante Registration Act was passed in May of 1956, 1 month after the official end of the occupation. Ever since the passing of this act, prospective vigilantes have had to register with the police department and pass an assessment. The assessment consists of 3 phases: a background check, a written exam, and a physical exam. The background check is more than just a simple parsing through one's criminal history. Applicants must undergo a polygraph and full psychological evaluation. These measures are in place to ensure that no one with a propensity towards excessive violence can legally act as a vigilante. Those who are deemed likely to freeze in stressful situations are also ineligible. Provided that applicants pass the background check, they are invited to take the written exam. This exam is designed to be very difficult. Applicants need to show an advanced understanding of the law and of deductive reasoning. Questions are pulled from the Japanese bar exam, the military officer candidacy program, and even from the Academy of the American Investigation Bureau. It is estimated that perhaps 65% of all applicants will fail this examination. After passing the written exam, applicants must take the physical exam. Regardless of gender, they must be capable of running 2.5 kilometers in less than 10.5 minutes, doing 100 push-ups in less than 2 minutes, 15 pull-ups, and 100 sit-ups in less than 2 minutes. They must also show proficiency in a martial art. The entire assessment process can take up to 4 months, but upon passing, applicants can legally act as vigilantes. Additional training courses are given to teach these new vigilantes police procedures and operations, so that they can effectively collaborate with the police when needed. With such a vigorous assessment system, citizens can rest assured that those that they see on the streets are the best of the best. Of course, there are still those vigilantes that elect to operate outside of the law. Some of them, such as the infamous Old No Name, can be quite effective. These so-called rogue vigilantes suffer stiff punishment when apprehended, but for whatever reason they go down this path, they fight for many of the same reasons as the official ones. Usually, there are even rumors that some of these rogue vigilantes have formed a group of their own, but not much is known about it, if said group even exists. It has been almost 2 years since the passing of the Vigilante Registration Act. So far, it seems to be a success. Some fear that with the presence of these vigilantes, things will continue to escalate to the point that citizens may have to worry about super criminals. But with the streets as they are, that's a risk we're willing to take.